Hello cookies, it's Siri, I'm back and today is episode 2 of my party series. I'm going to show you how I used to pack my party bags because I have quite some experience with partying, more like 3 times a week for 1.5 years. So I kind of know what to bring and just things that usually you don't really think about until you're at the club and you're like, oh damn, I should have brought that. So I'm going to show you what I usually pack in my party bags. First of all, the bag itself. So I usually don't take a huge bag because some clubs have those compartments where you can basically put some coins or pay or do something, so you can leave your bags there, and they're usually not super huge, they're pretty tiny. So I would suggest to go with a tiny bag. And anyway, even if the club doesn't have any of those compartments, if you have a bag kind of like this size or even smaller, so you can just have this handle here and just hold it like this and it still looks nice and it's still kind of convenient, or you can hold it like this. So that's the best, instead of having a huge bag that you will need to carry everywhere. So the items are not really going to be in order of importance, it's just random order. Tissue is always necessary because I promise you, when you're in the toilet of the club, there's gonna be chances that there's no paper there, there's no paper anywhere, and you'll have nothing to dry your hands or to, like wipe some mascara or excess things that just went everywhere. So tissue is really important, and I always have tissue, even in everyday life, in every single bag. For me, I feel like I would rather have my lip balm if I have a tiny bag, because after some alcohol and dancing and smoke and just the atmosphere in the club, you have really dry lips, and there's nothing more uncomfortable than partying with dry lips, because you shouldn't lick them. The more you lick, the more they get dry if you drink and just everything. So lip balm as well. Next up is some disinfectant. So this is for your hands, and I really like this one because see, you go like this, and then when you use it, it makes that sound. It is just so super fun to use. And again, if you're at the club and there is no soap in the toilet, or you just have some rude people sweating all over you and you're just like, oh my god, you just can just basically put some disinfectant or alcohol gel or anything all over you or on your hands and just feel like, okay, now at least I don't have some weird other people's bacterias, or if you can't wash your hands, then this is also very useful. Next up is some mouthwash or some mouth spray. So in Singapore I used to always have a mouth spray, but here I can't find any that I really like. If you have the chance to live where you have an Etude House shop, Etude House, the brand, they have those mouth sprays that have different flavors, and those are really nice and tiny and they taste good. I really suggest them, but otherwise some tiny sample of mouthwash, and then you're like, why? Because, well, if you're single, you might meet someone that you find really hot there, you never know. And you want to feel comfortable, with how your mouth smell is, because, that just gives you more confidence and makes you a better kisser. So a mouthwash as well, and take a super tiny one, or just a spray, doesn't need to be the 1.5 liter one. A mirror, which is very obvious, but I guess some people actually don't bring mirrors. And this is as well if you think that you have some problems happening with your makeup, and then the toilets usually at the clubs are very crowded. There's always lots of girls around, and just like, can I please just see the mirror or something? And if that doesn't work, then just stand somewhere where you have enough light and just be like, okay, I have my own mirror, never mind, and just use your own. This is called a reflector. So this is basically something that you put around your leg or your wrist like this. Don't put it around the neck. It's written inside not to put it around the neck. And when you put it on like this, it basically reflects the lights when there's a car passing by. So when it's dark and you're going home after clubbing at 3 or 4 or 5, maybe at 5 there's already the sun, but let's say you go home at 3 at night and it's really dark, at least with this, the cars won't have any excuse. They will see you. They will see you and they will not drive over you. It's actually not a watch because there's no time on it. It's called Safe by GAIA, but I guess there's many different types of these. And this is something that you have as well, like a watch. So you have it like this. It is pretty, mine is pink. And then when someone tries to harass you, you just need to press here and it makes the loudest, most obnoxious sound ever. It is really, really bad. And this is good for you because one, it's going to surprise the person who's going to try to attack you because the sound is really, really, really crazy. And two, it's going to attract the attention of people around in the neighborhood, or even if there's like you're going through a park, which I really, really do not recommend. Do not go through a park by yourself. So yeah, if you have this, then it's gonna alert everybody around. Let me just show you a little bit and mind your ears because it's really obnoxious and not nice. Painkillers. Painkillers. I can't tell you how many times those things saved me and saved some of my friends because, you know, alcohol, smoke, loud music, sometimes you can get a headache and you still want to party because it's fun, but you have a splitting headache. So painkillers are always something to have, and you can actually make friends because if you go in the toilet, you will most of the time see a girl there having a really bad headache and you feel lonely, you can just be like, hey, do you want a painkiller? And then you just made a new friend. Eye drops. So if you're like me and you're usually wearing glasses, maybe you wear contact lenses at the club. So I always wear contact lenses at the club, both because I feel like I look nicer without my glasses, and two, it's also more convenient when you dance and you don't have to be scared that someone is gonna knock your glasses and everybody's gonna step on them, or just they're gonna fall, or they get dirty. Sometimes at the club they have this smoke, or sometimes they have water or just some weird stuff spraying around and they just get dirty and inconvenient. The atmosphere of the club is pretty dry and pretty aggressive for the eyes, so it's always relieving around 1, 2, 3 a.m. to just go like, oh. And these are one-time use, so this is really convenient because when you open this and you use it, you can throw it, so you don't have to carry them at home and just have some extra stuff in your bag. You can just throw them when you're done. It's 3 a.m. at the club and your eyes are just so painful and red, and you have this. It's like the best thing ever, just like, oh my god, it's like seriously the best thing ever. Band-aids. So these, if you're wearing high heels at the club, you probably always carry these because for me it's like even when I wear my most comfortable shoes, after a few hours of partying, they start to hurt really bad. And it's not that the most common places, it's more some weird places where it gets tight and uncomfortable, and I'm not the type to take off my shoes when I go home or at the club because I don't know, I just don't like doing that personally. So I always try to keep my shoes on even when they're hurting me like crazy. So some band-aids are always really good for that. This, not super glamorous, but it will save you as well. So of course it is a pad, and yes, most people nowadays know when their period is coming, but sometimes it just happens like woof, you don't know what happened, so it's always nice to have a pad just in case of emergency. Hairband, and this is something that not everybody thinks about, but I think hairbands are really, really important because when I go to the toilets in the club, I'm very careful not to touch anything, and I'm always like, yeah. And since my hair is usually very poofy when I'm at the club, I like my hair very curly and very big and everywhere. Sometimes you can have extensions. Then you're like, I don't want my hair to touch anything. Or if one of your friends, okay, it fell down. If one of your friends starts to, you know, just puke in the toilet, or if you start to puke. So if that happens to you, instead of having to hold your own hair, you can just take your hairband and just, you know, put it in a bun. So then you're free to do whatever. When I go to the toilet, I always put it in a bun so I know that my hair is not gonna touch unnecessary parts. Next up is some blotting paper, and this is actually for me more useful than powder because I feel like powder is it just feels so cakey to me when I put on powder when I'm partying, and I always kind of sweat, or sometimes you sweat and you're not really sure if it's your sweat or some other people's sweat, because I swear some people are just moving fountains. I really like that blotting paper usually doesn't mess up my makeup unless you do it like this, then of course it's gonna smear everything around, but usually it's just really convenient when you just go like this on these areas where you get super shiny when it's hot and partying and humid because of the smoke they're using, etc. Then blotting paper is always a good thing to have. Finally, cash and coins. So I never ever carry any credit card or debit card with me at the club just because I don't want to lose them. I know nowadays it's easy to get a new one or whatever, but I'm just like, no, I don't want to go through that hassle. It's not worth it. So I always bring cash. So that is the main reason. I usually just have cash. And the second reason is when I'm at home, I'm not in the fever of the party. I'm not in the woohoo, we only live once kind of mood. So I'm reasonable at that moment and I'm like, okay, this is my week's budget as a student. This is how many hours I'm gonna work at my part-time job. So this is how much I will make this week. And this is how much I can afford when I go party. So I put exactly that amount I can afford in my purse with around $5 leeway in case, you know, like the cab is taking a bit more money, or if I'm really like in need of some urgent cash, then I always take a little bit more. But usually I just put the right amount and I'm just like, okay, so at the club and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna spend more, or let me pay you a drink or whatever, and you see that, no, I only have my cab, taxi, cash left. You're like, okay, I can't, and then you're super reasonable. Coins, because most of the clubs that I've been at, they only have those compartments that work with coins. Now I don't know why you cannot go to the guy at the reception and be like, hey, can I pay you cash? They're like, nope, just coins. And usually everyone around that area is always like, oh, does anyone have coins? Does anyone have coins? And that's it for my so-called survival kit for partying. I know some people might say, but that's too much, I have no time, or I can't carry all that stuff with me in the club. And I'm like, you don't have to, but that is for me what I consider important. And take it from someone who partied a lot when I was 18, when I was 19, I was partying so much. Oh, party over there, woohoo, party over there, woohoo. And every single one of those items has saved me. Or was like, oh, I should have brought that thing, I should have brought that thing. So that's why I decided to make this video for those of you who are still in the party mood and need a little bit of tips, or maybe some of those items you weren't thinking of. And that's the end of this video. I hope you cookies enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't want to miss the upcoming videos. Let me know in the comments down below if you have some items that you always bring with you at the club, because that could be useful to me and very useful to the other cookies who are also looking for tips. So until next time, I will see you cookies at the next video. Bye bye!